if you are a league average quarterback, which he is, you can look, he's better than Jimmy Garoppolo, you can look phenomenal in the Shanahan system with those weapons. But that if you don't have them, you are going to all of a sudden have an emperor has no clothes moment. You guys disagreed with me about it.
So he had no clothes? Like he was terrible last year?
I think he looked like last year a league average quarterback.
Well, how did he have a better passer rating than so many of these stars?
I'll be honest, I don't think passer rating is the end-all, be-all that you...
What about yards per attempt? How about that? You love that stat.
I absolutely like yards per attempt. No, because I think that is a piece of it. No, I think he's very good at yards per attempt. I think there's a piece of it. But I think that the goal, I would think the goalpost moving, with respect, KW, would be you, who's the only thing you've ever cared about is quarterback wins. It's the only thing
you're now talking about QB wins. Brock Purdy had a good passer rating. He had a great yards per attempt. And what you're focusing on is they were 6 and 11.
No, I'm focusing on the larger picture that right now, what is our collective comp? So I will be on the record. I'm not going to say they had a soft schedule. And if Purdy plays excellent and they surprise, I'm not going to be able to say I'm on the record. I don't think they have some super stacked team. I don't think that.
You think they have a really?
No, I think they have league average. I think you have a top 3 running back, top 3 tight end, and bottom 5 receiving core. That creates a league average weapon.
We have no idea if McCaffrey's a top 3 running back.
Well, that would be a huge. That would be great.
He's healthy.
I mean, yeah, but he's how old? He's 29 years old.
If he's
coming
top
off
3,
another injury.
that would be great.
Let me also be clear to be fair.
Much.
If McCaffrey is injured, or if McCaffrey is a shell of himself, then no, I don't think they have league average weapons. I am baking in the Christian McCaffrey.
What were the weapons last year?
McCaffrey was out all year.
I know.
McCaffrey was out all year.
Ayuk was out.
No, they were below average weapons. Below average. Last year.
But you're holding that against Purdy.
Yeah, I think when you pay a quarterback, which they now have, the hope is that he brings you to a certain floor. And I think that's what we've always talked about. And I think that there maybe was some, by me, draft bias against Purdy, and then there was the opposite of that last year, which was, cut him some slack.
That's fair.
And I think now that he's been paid, and now that they traded away Deebo Samuel, they knew Brandon Ayuk tore his ACL. He was going to be out. They traded away Deebo. They did that, and I understand that losing Jordan Watkins for a month sucks.
When he became your number 2 receiver.
But that was their own choice. Those were their own choices.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it.
They're going to be.
Yeah,
they're going to be good. You kind of conceded that they weren't going to be good.
No, I have not said that. What I said is I don't think Purdy will put up the numbers he did 2 years ago. My first statement was I think he can have a good season. But he won't put up the numbers he did 2 years ago when he was 4th in the MVP race. Because you need somebody to throw. Mahomes hasn't done that without the weapons. Neither has Stafford. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, but
I'll be honest. It's like these conversations are just getting ridiculous. Because even at the end, as it was leading into commercial, he's like, well, Patrick Mahomes 2022. And it's just like, I pointed this out last week, but Nick admitted that it was all dink and dunk. And that it was just an insane amount of yak. So like, and he had Travis Kelce, Hall of Famer, all-time great Travis Kelce, played the whole season and had the best career, the best year of his entire career. Brock Purdy didn't have a single player like that on his roster. So we can stop with this. And Shanahan isn't Andy Reid. I've already made a video about this with the herd, but then a lot of people in the comment section were like, oh, this was on First Things First, you should talk about it. And I was just like, oh man, because I already did a whole deep dive and I compared Mahomes and Brock Purdy. I mean, like these are conversations that we've already had so many times, but I just think it's just getting so ridiculous. And it is funny because I love how Bruce's like, oh, what about passer rating? And then Nick's like, well, I don't really care about passer rating. And it's just like, but we see this all the time in on segments when they're always showing us the graphics, and it's always like total, it's always passing yards and touchdowns and passer rating. It's always used as a way when it's convenient for their argument. But then when it's not, it's like, I don't really care about that. And it's rich because yards per attempt does not factor in average depth of target. I mean, this is the same thing that I showed you guys all last year, all last season. Patrick Mahomes had 2,300 yards after catch. Brock Purdy, 1,644. That is a massive difference. It is massive. We have to just stop pretending like that's nothing. That is massive. And then the average depth of target, 8.4 yards for Brock Purdy, 6.2 yards for Patrick Mahomes. So again, Brock Purdy is throwing deeper passes than Patrick Mahomes and getting significantly less yards after catch. On target percentage, 78.4% to 76.9%. Brock Purdy actually threw the ball on target more times than Patrick Mahomes. And it's just this is where these conversations just get so obnoxious. Because he had below average weapons, according to Nick, this last year. And yet he put up top 10 numbers. I don't understand what more you want from him. He had top 10 in passing yards. Top 3 in yards per attempt. He missed a couple games. And if he played those 2 games, he would have been top 10 in passing touchdowns as well. Right around there. And I don't want to go through everything that I just went through in my previous video. But I mean, it's just, I just don't get it. I really don't. He was pressured 200 times. Patrick Mahomes was pressured 212 times. And again, everyone cried about the O-line. And again, remember, Brock Purdy missed a game. You can probably add another 5 to 10 pressures. It's just kind of crazy. And Brock Purdy actually dealt with the pressure better than someone like Patrick Mahomes. 15.5 pressure to sack ratio percentage. Patrick Mahomes 17%. So when the pressure actually reached him, Brock Purdy took less sacks per pressure. I mean, that's just the reality of the situation. He had to scramble more. He had 44 scrambles to Mahomes' 37. CJ Stroud 37. I mean, his passer rating was top 12. 96.1. Patrick Mahomes was 15th. Matthew Stafford was 14th. So he had below average weapons. Lamar Jackson had above average. Jared Goff had above average. Joe Burrow had above average. Baker Mayfield had both above average and not, depending on the injury timeline. Jalen Hurts had above average weapons. Sam Darnold had above average weapons. Justin Herbert did not. Had one piece, but, wouldn't say above average for Justin Herbert. Tua Tagovailoa had above average. Josh Allen, above average. Not like, again, all of this stuff is on a spectrum, of course. But, then Jane Daniels and Jordan Love. I mean, you can make the argument that for these, we'll just go with top 12 because I just have it done via passer rating right now. Lamar Jackson, better weapons. Jared Goff, better weapons. Joe Burrow, better weapons. Baker Mayfield, better weapons. Jalen Hurts, better weapons. Sam Darnold, better weapons. Justin Herbert, it's a toss-up, honestly, between that. Tua Tagovailoa, better weapons. Josh Allen, better weapons. Jaden Daniels, better weapons. Terry McLaurin was healthy. Zach Ertz was really, really good. He was also top tight end. Jordan Love, they couldn't stay healthy. I think if they were healthy, you would say better weapons, but it's, again, that's a little a trickier thing. All more than what Brock Purdy had to deal with. Do you think that matters at all? I mean, show me the quarterback who's just absolutely balling with nothing but below average pieces around him. because it didn't happen last year. Certainly didn't happen last year. I mean, this is all the more remarkable when Brock Purdy, now this is when under pressure, he was top 4 in touchdowns with weak weapons. Now again, he had 5 interceptions, don't get me wrong, not the best thing. Patrick Mahomes had 7 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He had more touchdowns under pressure. A completion percentage of 53.6%. Sam Darnold, 49. Lamar Jackson, 49. Jane Daniels, 46. Aaron Rodgers, 45. Patrick Mahomes, 49. So he had a better completion percentage when under pressure. 6.7 yards per attempt to 6.3 yards per attempt for Patrick Mahomes. Jared Goff, with all those weapons, 6.8 yards per attempt. I mean, listen, was he out there like Joe Burrow, who was just balling 15 touchdowns, 3 interceptions? No. But he was still a top quarterback under pressure. I mean, this is the stuff that I continue to point out so frequently. Behind the line of scrimmage passes. Below average weapons for Brock Purdy. And I showed you the average depth of target. He was only able to get 249 yards from passes behind the line of scrimmage. 249 yards. Baker Mayfield, 783. Jared Goff, 690. Bo Nix, 690. Patrick Mahomes, 645. Josh Allen, 644. Patrick Mahomes had 115 completions behind the line of scrimmage. Let me say that one more time for y'all. 115 completions. He attempted 124. The only quarterback to attempt more was rookie quarterback Bo Nix, quarterback that Nick says is the worst quarterback ever. Not actually the worst quarterback ever, but not great. And you had Brock Purdy, 29th in the NFL, with 44 attempts, 39 completions. Brock Purdy had less attempts from behind the line of scrimmage than Patrick Mahomes had just completions alone. Like 4 times the amount. I mean, like it's bonkers. 3 times the amount, excuse me. Like, these things matter because it's all about game planning. Like, this is all a philosophy of offense. And that's why it irks me so much and why I keep repeating this, because they keep bringing it up. But you see in 2022, Mahomes had 703 yards, 9 touchdowns, and 1 interception from all passes behind the line of scrimmage. 109 pass attempts from behind the line of scrimmage. And I think he had like 2,800 yards after catch, which a lot of that's going to come from these plays right here. I mean, Brock Purdy had 37 completions behind the line of scrimmage. Or excuse me, from screen plays. 41 attempts. Patrick Mahomes had 83 screen attempts. Baker Mayfield, 94. Bo Nix, 93. Tua, 80. Jared Goff, 67. I mean, it was criminally low. Especially considering this offense and what Brock Purdy had to deal with. That's on Shanahan. That is absolutely on Shanahan. And I know, I get it. I know I'm a little bit of a broken record with these types of talking points. It's not my fault. They're the ones that keep bringing up the same tired arguments again and again and again. I mean, like, it's not my fault. I don't know what you want to do. And then again, when you want to keep trying to pretend that other quarterbacks are doing something that they're not, it's just ridiculous. And so the argument doesn't change. The facts don't change. I mean, it's just kind of absurd. I mean, listen, do I think a Josh Allen, a Lamar Jackson, a Joe Burrow, a Patrick Mahomes would have been able to do better than Brock Purdy did with this 49ers team last year? Absolutely. Do I think that they would have now magically become a 11-win team and a playoff team? I do not. Please tell me how that would make sense when most of the time, some of these players, like the Joe Burrows, don't even have that when they have an even better offense. And also, let me know when a lot of these quarterbacks, they're only winning about 11, 12 or so games. And now you're going to tell me that you're going to give them a significantly worse roster, and yet they'll still win and put up similar number. Like it just doesn't then make any sense. Like conceptually, like it, and logically, like it doesn't. There's no actual sense to the argument. I mean, it really doesn't. It's absurd. So I don't get it. And like I've already said in my previous video, like if Nick always wants to use Patrick Mahomes as that frame of reference, but Patrick Mahomes is able to do it, I disagree with that wholeheartedly, as I've already outlined a million times. But let's just say you do agree with it. So Brock Purdy's either Patrick Mahomes or just a bad quarterback? Like, isn't what makes Patrick Mahomes so special then that he's an outlier, that he's a rarity, that he's an all-time special great talent? So why would you ever expect another quarterback to be even comparable to him? I mean, like that's when then it's just like it just doesn't make sense. And that's what's so frustrating about this type of conversation, because it's just so circular, and it's just here we go again and again and again. And that's when Brew was kind of just like, all right, well, fine. You want to go by QB wins then? Where were the flowers for him in 22 and 23? I mean, he was top in the NFL in QB wins. And if you want to go be a QB wins guy, well, then, Jared Goff is significantly better than Nick keeps saying. Jalen Hurts, the ultimate QB wins, won the Super Bowl. He's the best quarterback in the NFL then, I guess. He beat Matthew Stafford better than him. He beat Patrick Mahomes better than him. He beat Josh Allen better than him. He beat Lamar Jackson better than him. He beat Joe Burrow better than him. That's why you got to be careful which logic you live and die by. And that's why you got to be careful about how consistent you are with the arguments that you put forth. And that's why sometimes we can retread so many, I can retread frequently, especially when in the summer when we don't have new information to go off of, because it's like 1 + 1 = 2 hasn't changed for me. I don't pick and choose when I want 1 + 1 to equal 2. And sometimes when I want it to be 11, I don't pick and choose. And if I'm ever now changing that a little bit, I'll be very clear about the circumstances as to why. It's like if I say, passer rating doesn't really matter that much to me. And it's like, well, you said passer rating mattered before. And it's like, well, okay, well, let me clarify. I think when you're talking about the top 3 quarterbacks in the NFL, their passer rating is a little bit more indicative of their greatness because of X, Y, and Z. But when you're in the more middle to lower tiers, passer rating can be influenced by too many factors. Therefore, it's like, explain why it matters sometimes and why it doesn't. Explain why something can be applied in one moment and then not the next. Because that's okay. That's why what do I say all the time? Nuance, nuance, nuance. But it's not nuance just to pick and choose when you want something to apply when you don't. Because that doesn't make sense. That makes zero sense. I mean, it's actually quite fascinating when you look at 23 to 24. This is now per game stats. Okay? 2022 is a little different just because of how it unfolds in terms of the games started and games played, and so you can't really the numbers just don't add up as nicely as you would want them to, because it's trying to just do it on a per game basis. But in 23, 19 completions per game on average. Again, this is all on average. 20 completions in 2024. So we actually had to have more completions, just one, but still. I had 69.4% completion percentage. And then it only went down a little over 3% with a significantly worse, significantly worse pair of hands to catch the ball. Okay. His interceptions stay elevated a tad bit more per game. his passer rating goes from 113 to 96.1, as I've already showed you. Still about average. So he said that he had below average pieces around him, and yet we're still able to put up average numbers. That actually shows that you're elevating the roster. You understand that? Seems pretty interesting to me. And this was the mistake of Shanahan. For his intended air yards per game. With a better roster, he was asking Purdy to throw 226 yards, intended air yards per game. With a worse roster, 253.9. He actually completed more air yards per game, 148 compared to 139. So again, literally asking Brock Purdy to do more, and Brock Purdy succeeding, by the way, because you could even see completed air yards per completion. If he was struggling, if you were asking Brock Purdy to do more, but he was struggling to actually do more, you would then see his completed air yards dropping. It would actually be lower now because he would have more incompletions. It would weigh everything down now because it's per in terms of trying to figure out some of these averages, especially in terms of intended air yards per pass attempt. Like all of everything would be kind of just weighed down by failures. Not unlike if you're a basic completion percentage, right? If I'm asking you to throw more and now you're failing more, your completion percentage is going to be lower. This is just a little bit more aggressive way to do it. He got less yak, 128.4, 109.6. Again, that's not on Brock Purdy. That's not on Brock Purdy. Not him at all. And then his on-target percentage, 75.5% in 23. He was even more accurate in 2024, 78.4%. I mean, it's pretty basic, honestly. It really is. He was experiencing more pressure. He had inferior weapons from years past. Shanahan's asking him to do more. He's succeeding to do more with less. In some stats, just maintaining what he was able to do, just a semblance of that. And yet we want to pretend like he had no clothes. I just don't understand how that makes sense. Because we also know that Nick thinks Geno Smith's an awesome quarterback. And I like Geno Smith a lot, actually. But the whole thing about Geno is, the whole thing with Geno Smith is like, well, he's not on a great team. He doesn't have a lot of pieces around him. And it's like, okay, so neither did Brock Purdy. And if you do the averages, because again, Brock Purdy played 2 less games, Brock Purdy would have had roughly right around the same amount of passing yards, would have had more touchdowns, less interceptions, more yards per pass. I mean, I don't know, man. It's just, like I said, we can use all various different quarterbacks to make this argument here. And it's just, no matter how you slice it, I don't know what people needed to see from Brock Purdy last year. And it just can't be win-loss record. It can't be. It can't be like, oh, well, they only won 6 games, and that's his fault. And it's just like, but Jalen Hurts won the Super Bowl, and you don't want to give him that credit. So if you can't give him that credit, and you want to say, well, the team around him, he wasn't the reason why, which is what they literally said the other day. Well, then when a team comes up short, a team that's not good, that doesn't have a great roster, it's all injured, banged up, etc., and they don't win, how can you then put that responsibility on the quarterback? Like, some of these things have to be pretty binary. It either is or it isn't. And that's why you actually got to watch the games. Because there are plenty of times that a quarterback wins a football game. He did not play good, man. You can't really, he didn't have to do a lot at all. There are other games when he absolutely balls out and plays unbelievably perfect. Brilliant. Just pure perfection. And the field goal kicker misses like 4 field goals. And his running back fumbles the ball and scoops it up and takes it in for an intercept and takes it in for a touchdown. And it's like that's the quarterback's fault now. Like, obviously not. And that's why I always point out then it's like when we just use like random stats to try to build an argument, and it's just like, okay, that's what I always say. If we're going to do the stats, if we're going to play the stat game, then let's play the stat game. Explain to me why you're totally okay when the stats are convenient to you, that you want to be like, look at this quarterback, see, and look at this comparison. Oh, look at Justin Herbert to Geno Smith, I think is a graphic that Nick brought up recently. It was like, see, you can't say that Geno Smith isn't as good as Justin Herbert. And then it's like, okay, then bring up the info, the graphic and show Brock Purdy to Patrick Mahomes or to Geno Smith. Why is that not okay? Like, it's just, you got to tell me, you got to give me the reasons why. And it's not wins and losses because Geno Smith didn't make it to the playoffs. You guys got to help me make sense of it. I can't. Can't make sense out of nonsense. Those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Brock Purdy? This idea of him just proving to not be a great quarterback last season, and should he be concerned this year? And would it be okay if this team's not good and he struggles, or would it be just more proof of him not being a good quarterback? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.